Hello and welcome to this tutorial where I'm going to be showing you how to make your stockings either lean to the left, like this one here, or to the right. So in order to do that, we need to increase a stitch that is leaning in one of these directions. So we're learning how to do a stitch increase. So let's just put it into context real quick. When you're knitting your stockings, obviously, you are going to be knitting them so they're actually upside down. So if you are making a stocking that actually leans to the left when it's right side up, which this one did, it's leaning towards the left. When you're knitting it on your needles, you actually want your stitches to lean towards the right. So it's kind of like opposites day. For your stocking that's leaning towards the right, in order for the stitches to be increased, we need to lean them towards the left. So don't think, oh, I'm making the right stocking, I need to do an M1R. Nope, it's the other way around. It's an M1R M1L. But anyway, I'll show you what to do. So I have worked up to the point where I've got my 6 knit rows and then my 10 stockinette stitch rows. And now I'm going to do, I'm going to make the stocking that is leaning towards the right, like this one here. So I have to do some stitch increases where my stitches are leaning towards the left. So let me show you how to do that. So in the pattern booklet, this is currently row number 13, I believe. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to knit up to my final stitch. So what that means is I'm leaving a stitch on my left needle. And as we're going, what we're doing is we're also counting our stitches because we need to make sure we've got 11. And it's always good to keep track, even as an expert, because you've got to make sure you're increasing the right amount. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11. Excellent. I do apologize for my nails. I know I need to get them done. I will eventually. So whoopsie doodles. In order to make one stitch that is leaning towards the left, I'm going to pick up this bar here that is in between. Well, every stitch has a bar that is in between them. Like even here, look, if I separate those, see, look, you can see it there. And this is just a strand of yarn that is going from one stitch to the other, one stitch to the other, one stitch to the other. And we're going to borrow this strand to increase our stitches. So to make one stitch that leans towards the left, we're going to pick up this bar. We're going to place it onto our left needle, but we're going to hook it from the back to the front. So I'll show you that again. We're going to pick up that bar using our right needle, and we're going to hook it so that this bar is going from the back of our left needle to the front. And you know you've done it right because you will see the front of the bar is higher than the back. Basically, it's just going to be really obvious that there is a line there. And then what we're going to do, just like an ordinary stitch, we're going to knit to the back of this bar like so. So we're knitting to the back. So it looks from front view just like that. It's just an ordinary knit stitch that we're knitting through the back of that bar. And this is what it's going to create here. If I just get my handy dandy tapestry needle, we now have this little stitch that is leaning towards the left. That's what we've got. A little stitch that's leaning towards the left. And then we knit the final one. Little stitch that's leaning towards the left. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to purl my next row and I'm going to come back and show you once more. Okay, so not only did I purl my row, but I got a little bit, what's the word, into it, and I ended up knitting the second row as well, which is fine because I've knit up to the point where I'm going to do that stitch increase of make one left. And again, I'm going to need this bar here. So this bar that lies in between the stitches, I'm going to pick it up with my right needle. I'm going to hook it onto my left needle, going from the back of the needle to the front. So it looks like this. If I hold it aside, there we go. It looks like that. And then we're going to knit into the back of that needle. Now, I don't know if you noticed, but to make my life easier, what I did is I took my left index finger, I placed it over that bar and I raised it up, because as you do that, it gives you more of an opening to actually insert your needle through that bar. Now it's not, because it knows what I'm trying to do, like so. So use your index finger, hold it onto the bar and just lift it up, because it just makes it easier to get your needle through the back of that bar. And then we knit as per usual. And then that is creating our stitch that is leaning towards the left. Excellent. So this is a beautiful stitch increase, and it's beautiful because it is discreet. You would not know that anything unusual is happening, but as you go, you're going to create a lovely line of stitch increases like this one here, lovely line, which will create your right leaning stocking. So there we go. That's how you do a stitch increase that leans to the left. Now what I'm going to do, feel free to pause, go away, come back later, because what I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you how to do a stitch increase that is leaning towards the right, which we need to do for our left leaning stocking. So come back soon. Okie dokie, and as if by magic, I have a new stocking ready to go. So let's just remind ourselves really quickly. This is going to be a left leaning stocking. So our stitch increases, because we knit it upside down, they're going to lean towards the right. Now this is the trickiest one to do. This is the trickiest stitch increase to do, because it's just that little bit fiddly, but I will talk you through it, so do not panic. So if we check our instructions, it is going to ask us to do one stitch, then make our right leaning increase, and then knit the rest of our row. So I'm going to do the one stitch that is asking me to. One stitch, right. And now again, I've got this bar. There it is, look. Hey, bar. This time I'm going to hook the bar so it's going from the front of the needle to the back. So it looks, I've got a gaping hole there, like it's really, really obvious. Let me just do that once more. I'm going to pick up the bar and I'm going to go from the front of the needle to the back. Create this gaping hole there, look. Now, this is the tricky part, because what I want to do is, whoops, I'm going to drop my needle, and then what I want to do is I want to knit here. I want to knit at the front of the needle, at this part of the bar, but it's really, really tight. Like getting my needle through there is going to be really, really difficult. So there's a couple of things you can do. I will use my index finger to hold the bar and kind of pull the back of it forwards to create this kind of loop here, this gap. I can then knit through that bar, she says, with more ease, because we're still knitting into it, but we're going from the front to the back. So let me show you that again. What you can do is use your index finger, move or stretch the bar towards the left of the needle, so it creates a nice little void, a nice little gap, and then you can insert that needle going from the front to the back and knit it as per usual. And this is going to create a right leaning stitch increase, which hopefully you can see there, a right leaning stitch increase. And then we knit the remainder of our row as per usual. But what I'm going to do is just undo that so I can show you again. Just picking up that first stitch. Okay. Got my first stitch. I've knit my first stitch. I've now got this bar that's right in the middle. I'm going to pick it up using my right needle, and I'm going to hook it over my left needle going from the front to the back to create this gaping hole. Now I've already shown you that you can use your index finger to drag and obviously loosen it, but you can also use your needle. So you can also use your needle to pull it forwards, give it a shake. That creates a massive gaping hole, which I can now place my needle through and knit. The only issue is if you use that method, obviously it's going to upset your tension ever so slightly, because now you're going to have a right leaning increase, but it might be a little bit on the looser side. So the choice is entirely up to you, but that is how you create a right leaning increase for your stocking. I would then knit my row as per usual. I would then purl the next row. And then when I begin to knit the next row, I will knit one, make one with a right leaning increase, and then knit the remaining of my stitches. And you'll continue this process until you have 14 stitches total on your needles. So there you go. That is how you make a stitch that leans in to the left and how you make a stitch that leans in to the right. I sincerely hope you found that useful, and as always, happy knitting.